Next Gen Economy Podcast, accelerating breakthroughs.
The Next Gen Economy Podcast is all about young people making waves in business and innovation. We interview some of the most inspiring changemakers out there who are developing creative solutions to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. If you're looking for a dose of inspiration and some practical tips on how to make a difference in the world, this is the show for you. The Next Gen Economy Podcast is brought to you by ExO Angels and sponsored by Island 17, Dream Tank, ExO Economy, and Futureville. Visit us at nextgen-economy.com.
Salim, we've talked a little bit about gamification here. You have the model, the EXO model. One of the attributes is engagement. And I think we're seeing kind of an interesting, I recently spoke with Yu Kai Chou. I did an interview. It's going to post in a day or so. It's a 3-part series because it got a little long. But Yu Kai is the creator of a gamification framework called Octalysis. Octalysis, I do believe, is a part of what you're working with at Island 17, Julian.
Yes.
That's what I was referring to.
Yu Kai actually has been working with us for 4 years and has helped us design and assess all the hackathons that have created the proof of concept. So he's part of our council DAO.
That's awesome.
And he even led some design challenges during our physical dream tanks when we were at the Museum of Boulder, zooming in from his, his mission control background. So when we saw his video 4 years ago, we met him immediately. And it's just like someone gets it, like 4 years ago, 4 years ago when we had this kind of idea, this concept, the technology and a lot of things did not meet it. And it seemed really crazy. And now it's, I want to hear Aditya too. You're sitting there and you're the one of the younger people. I want to hear your voice. I'm sorry to call you out, but
No. As I said, please jump in, and we should, Salim, why don't you take us a little bit through the concept of engagement? I don't remember, you didn't get a chance to meet Yu Kai yet, right? Not yet.
No, we've exchanged a couple of messages. But we had engagement as a critical part of the model for for exponential organizations in the original book 8 years ago. And I think what's magical now is when you add crypto economics to engagement, it just explodes. It literally explodes. And you look at these, less than 2% of the Fortune 500 really use these types of techniques. And you look at, I talk to CEOs and I go, look at this blockchain here, $30 billion. Look at this blockchain here, $50 billion. Look at this blockchain here. And they've done nothing but just optimize around engagement. And you've got zero. So do the math, right? And the essentially, I think we'll see, as Kyle mentioned, with play to earn and play to learn, which I think is, and pay to learn, which gets incredibly interesting. You just move the L around in these metaphors. The potential ability to gamify pretty much everything now becomes very real. And then you gamify the SDGs, and that's the only way we're really going to solve them, is that model. So it's super exciting to watch all of this.
Aditya, we haven't heard from you yet. What are your thoughts?
For me, it's personally really interesting, right? So when I came into Island 17, I came as part of the 2-week sprint, right? Where we started the development of the matching game. And then with that, what I realized was the fact that I learned so much more about DAOs, learning more about the whole gamification framework. Coming into this, I came in for very basic knowledge of, blockchain and just knowing a little bit more about a cryptocurrency as a way of a financial tool. But this showed me a whole different perspective about tokens, learning more about how the gamification framework can tie into tokens, how it can be used as rewards, getting further into tokenomics. And for me personally, just being part of this experience, when I joined in just for 2 weeks, I was able to learn so much. And now that I'm trying to work to try and make sure that other people like me who are in university programs can get the same experience as well. So that's kind of like my thought about this and my perspective as to what I'm trying to do over here.
That's great. It's amazing the number of things that are converging. It feels like at one time, if you think about Bitcoin, right? It's almost a dozen years old, but we've got metaverse, blockchain, tokens, tokenomics, gaming, gamification, and tokenomics is economics applied to crypto. It's unbelievable. So you can come in, like you've just said, Aditya, wanting to maybe learn a thing, but you end up needing to be effectively everybody needs to be a polymath all of a sudden, to get something done. And but what it really leads to is the need for an incredible team. And I think that is what the very best DAOs are going to figure that out.
And I'd like to piggyback off of what Aditya was saying is that, the 4 years of like building up that it took for this to come to fruition. I'm just one of the many architects, but the people that came before me, the students, the team, the council, this was like 4 years in the making plus, and the ability to channel in that imagination from the youth and youthful minds is really what's driving this project forward. And I think, if you would have asked me, I grew up on, a regular Nintendo, and Zelda was my first game, so if you would have asked me, let's fast forward only 20 years later, that's wild that we're already talking about a whole economy inside of what I used to think was just like an RPG game. So it will be fascinating to see what happens, with the invention of virtual reality, and full haptics and all that type of stuff, how we use this technology for good and how we can use it to amplify us instead of divide.
Yeah, no, I'm laughing because I was trying to think like what did I grow up on? It was Atari, right? Atari 2600, adventure games on a TRS-80 Model 3. I had to write my own games, Kyle. They didn't exist.
I think we should take a poll on everyone over 40. What was your first computer? It gotta be really fun. I had an IBM PC Junior, and there was this one game I would play all the time as like an 8-9-year-old, Adventures in Serena, and it was like this like quest game. So awesome. It's so funny remembering that, how far we've come.
Yeah. Commodore VIC-20. So I'm way back there. Yeah, way back there. Yeah. And I wrote Connect 4 when I got it in 6th grade. I made my own Connect 4 game, no lie.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. Saved it on a tape cassette. Yeah.
Not
what about you, Salim? I wish I still had it.
I learned Pascal programming on an Apple II in high school. And then they bumped me up to go take a course at the local university on data structures. And I had to use cards.
Oh, wow.
That just blew my mind because I'm using an Apple II at the high school, and then I have to go use cards. Get the hell out of here. That's
like that's not interoperable.
It's not.
The Next Gen Economy podcast is brought to you by ExO Angels and sponsored by Island 17, Dream Tank, ExO Economy, and Futureville. Visit us at nextgen-economy.com.
Next Gen Economy Podcast, accelerating breakthroughs.